I'm rather make it better, that's what so I wanted to add a little bit of a shorter, repetitive. So when I worked with a kid previously, right, I asked them to, you recognize this word, and they say cat, okay, I want you to spell it out loud, put it down, they spell it out loud, and what I do, I listen for how fast they spell the word, what kind of space there is between the letters, and if they spell it like C, A-T, there's a lot of space between the C and A. If they spell it like C-A-T, still space between the letters. And what you actually have to listen for improvement is that it goes faster and faster. That means that the access to the word goes faster and faster, and they can verify it faster and faster. And after every time they spelled it, I asked them was it correct or not. And now wait, this is very important, more important people think and understand, is that when they try to verify if they spell it correctly, you have to wait for them to finish it. And don't interrupt them. But either give you the right answer, the wrong answer, or maybe be unsure, and because they're trying to access the word. Once you've done this a few times with the cat, because we want to establish the baseline, then you ask them to spell it backwards to do the same thing. Once you think they have cat down both backwards and forward, then you run the checklist, right? You check for colors of the letters, how big they are, and what you tell them to do is to put it in front of them, basically give or take around this space in front of the face, so they can see the word clearly, and so on. And when you do that, ask them the question is, how big or small are the letters? You can show with your hands. If they have trouble, for example, seeing the word, they can imagine a computer monitor or something like that and put the word in the computer monitor. That's one way to overlap the the visual sensors and such. And each time you have made all this adjustment for them, you ask them again, by showing them. Do not tell people things, especially when they're dyslexic, because if you tell them the word, sometimes you have to, but they will engage the auditory circuit of the word. You don't need that. Right? Just show them. Spell that. Listen to it. Ask them, was it correct or not? Wait for their response. Important. They have to go inside and verify if it was correct or not. And they will say yes, no, or be unsure. And that's the whole process. Then once you think they, this is stable both forward to backward, you run the checklist, they can see the word clearly, the letters are, manageable, they have the whole word inside. Then you bring in the new word, whatever that might be for your kid, and you do the same thing. Memorize this. And they look at it, and they will memorize it, and I'll tell me when you're done, when you're ready for it, and then you spell it. Now, you can also do this when you do that, so it's easy to follow if you do it correctly or not. That's what I think, because it makes it easy for me also. And then, since it's a new word that they struggle with, they may not do it correctly. What you do then is to ask them the same thing: was they correct or not? Doesn't matter if you hear it is wrong. You just ask them the same question. They have to go inside and verify it, and they will say they would say yes when they spell it wrong, and you say no, that was incorrect. And then instead of course fixing it for them, you just show them the word again. Can you identify what you did wrong? And they may be able to identify, oh, I forgot that letter, G or H or something like that. All right, memorize it again, fix it, spell it again. And you do that until they can spell the word forward. And if they get frustrated and annoyed, or it becomes a little bit too much with the new word, take a break, go back and spell this word again. Just show them. Spell this word a few times, forward. C-A-T. Was it correct or not? Yes, that's correct. Give them feedback. Spell it backwards. Because that will reset them, because this is what you need to do with every word. Because you need to, the thing that here with the new word is that the brain has now to have to figure out how to make this word the same as when you spell the word cat. That will take time, depending on your kid, right? what kind of version of dyslexia they have. If you're lucky, it's just a matter of organizing it, and if you've done the checklist, that alone should, start your kid on the journey of, fast improvement. If you kill lack of function because it's not functioning properly, this will take more time. And a lot of things can happen. I can't predict everything that will happen. Sometimes, I have a hard time keeping the word stable. It wants to disappear. You use a simple metaphor in that case, or an easy metaphor, as I like to say. You take since they were kids, you take a hammer and nail it, or you put it on the computer screen because that usually is stable for them. Or, you put glue around the word so they can, make it stick in there. Because it actually requires neurological energy to keep words stable. Most people don't know that. So I can't predict everything that can happen with the dyslexic. This is why we don't fix them. We just tell them, you need to have the word like this, stable. That's why we start with the word cat to establish the baseline. Very important. Because you want to build success for them. You don't want to make it hard for them. They already struggle, so doesn't need to add to that. So you repeat it, you give them feedback, you ask the question, was it correct or not when they spell it out loud. And what you listen for is how fast you can spell it correctly. They will struggle at first, especially when the words they struggle with. Once they get, the hang of that forward, you ask them to spell it backwards, right? You show them the word. Memorize this. W-R-I-A-G-H-T. Was it correct or not? Then go in journal and go, yeah, it was correct. And you say, yes, it was correct. Once you get a hang of that, you go, okay, now spell it backwards. I need to look at it, and you look at and you go T-H-G-I-R-W. And since you looked at it and you asked them, did you spell it correctly or not? Yeah, I did. And you say, yes, you did. But it didn't go fast at first. You never did, never do. But they go faster and faster after a while. And the reason why you don't need to jump to new words so that fast. So you just work with the two words. The one, they establish the baseline, and the second one, to repeat it until they can do it the same way as cat. Once they can do that, both forwards and backwards, you have done their checklist. And sometimes things will change for them over time. And you can just, ask them questions, if the words the same size, have they changed the sizes or not, something like that. Are the colors the same? Do you still see the word clearly? Do you have the whole oversight? And so on. It's not difficult. It's just you have to repeat it, because this is how you build the organization for them, and you just tell them to, if the letters are very big or somewhere else, or a different color, you just tell them to change the color, tell them to change the size of the word. Nothing of this is, static. It can be adjusted to, right? And it can change over time, right? It does for people, right? So, and since you have the checklist, you have the organization, you ask them the question. This is a lot of repetition, by the way. Now, the difference between you as a parent and me is I have a lot of skill sets because I develop all this stuff, right? But I have to work really intensively with kids. I usually work for an hour or two with them when I was working. You have the benefit of having them home every day. So once you have them home, and you can run this for 5-10 minutes every day. So if you do this every day for a month, you have done it 30 times. That's a lot of exposure to repeating things, right? And during that process, you should have, them being able to, to put cat and the new word stable within a short amount of time. But I can't tell you exactly because people are different, right? So you do that, repeat that, and remember that when you ask the questions, ask them, was it correct or not, and wait for the response. Important. Was they correct or not? Wait until they're done and answer you. If they do things wrong, don't tell them how to do it, how to fix it. Just show them the word and say, no, that was not correct. Can you identify what you did? And sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. And if they can't, we tell them you missed the letter H or G or I or whatever, right? And then, you know, also memorize it again. Because this is how your brain works. Once you're done, give or take, depending on, you know, it could take 2 words, sometimes it can take 5 words. But the process is this. This is how you have to fix them. Because a dyslexic doesn't have a reference point of accessing words and retrieve them so they know it's correct or not. Usually, you know, I'm a dyslexia, have 6 different ways to spell a word. One of them was correct. That's not a good way to, you know, read and spell words. So, and this works, right? So if you keep doing this, you have the longer video if you want to watch it again, obviously. And this is just to, you know, give you the point of the importance of wait for the response. Be patient, wait for the response. Because they need to be able to verify if the word is correctly spelled when they spell it themselves. If they can't do that, they're always going to struggle. So be patient, ask them the question. If they spell it correctly, you tell them that. If they spell it incorrectly, you tell them that. And instead of trying to fix what they did, just show them the word. Important again, I repeat it so many times so you can get the pattern yourself. Don't tell them, show them. Because that's how people read, right? And good luck.